right, welcome everyone to the City Council meeting for Monday, November the 14th. We can have a roll call, Madam Clerk, to establish a quorum.
Terry McClung,
I'm here.
Melissa Green,
I'm here.
Harry Meyer,
Here.
Bill Ott,
Here.
Autumn Slane.
Here.
We have 5.
All right, if we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I get a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second. I'd like to move with the council's consent, item under new business, council election for vacant Ward 1, position 2, up to above, make that first item of business.
You talking about a head of unfinished business as well?
Yes. Yep. All right.
Move to accept that amended agenda?
Anybody else have anything? No? Okay, got a motion, let's get a second.
I'll second that.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Get a motion to approve the minutes for October 24th.
So move.
Second. All right. Any additions, corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, under our commission and committees, we do still have some vacancies in the CAPC. So people out there, please put in your application for those 2 positions. So do we have a third quarter financial report in our packet?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, so that's for the city council's review and on there. Also, we do have vacancy on the parks. If anybody's out there interested in being on our Parks Commission, please let us know. And in the HDC, we've got an application by Christine Santamore that was in your packet. Ms. Green?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the application for Christine Santamore for position 7.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Dee Bright's application is also up for renewal. She's been on for quite a few years, so be glad to take a motion, or we can wait until the next time.
Move to accept her application for
Renewal for position.
renewal of
2.
her place on the HDC.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that brings us up to public comments. Please limit your time to 3 minutes.
My name is Linda McBride. Eureka Springs is one of the very few cities in the nation that has not solved their parking in a tourist town, residential parking. In 1995, an ordinance was read one time and it failed because the police did not want to police it and fine. 2011, the City Council turned over parking issues to the Planning Commission. In January 22, the Planning Commission started working on a survey, and they've been working for 11 months. Somehow, someone that sits up there who is not on the Planning Commission has decided to write ordinances above what they have given you. They've had public hearings, they've had workshops. They turned in last month an ordinance that they wanted read, but no, someone up there changed it. The same thing happened again, so here we sit. Whoever's up there is an elected official, and what they have done is malfeasance and misfeasance of your office. You might be able to put a word in an ordinance that is correct, but you are not to put your opinion of what an ordinance should be. I don't know why people on the Planning Commission don't just resign. You don't need them. You don't pay any attention to them. The ordinance that you are presenting tonight is an ordinance that the Planning Commission has not even seen. That is wrong. All the years of work, someone sitting up there has undone it. 27 years and 7 months, people have waited for something to go to the city council. It is wrong what you have done. You've overstepped your Planning Commission. Why have one? Why do you even have one? You don't need it, because they've given you 2 ordinances. Now, that doesn't mean that those ordinances can't be tweaked or changed with public hearings. I don't agree with everything they've said, but for y'all to present an ordinance tonight that your Planning Commission has not seen is malfeasance and misfeasance of office. Thank you.
Hey, my name is Susan Harmon. I reside at 11 Summit Street, and I am a member of the Planning Commission. I was allowed to see the ordinance that you have in your packet tonight just a few minutes ago. I've reviewed it, and it is in relation to the Spring Street parking ordinance. My opinions, while it's important that every ordinance be in proper legal format, it is also important that every draft that has been voted on by a commission be presented in its original draft format to City Council. The ordinance that you have in your packet has been modified from the original approved by the Planning Commission. Items that have been removed are as follows. In Section 7, there was an A, B, C, and D section. A was removed. If a permit holder attempts or does loan a district parking permit, he may lose all privileges of the program for up to 3 years. That has been taken out of the current draft that you have in front of you. If a permit holder transfers or sells to another party or entity or habitually violates Section 7A, which relates to the permits, he may lose all privileges permanently. That was taken out. The owner of any vehicle parked in violation of any term or requirement of this code section shall be subject to a citation and a fine of $70 per violation. Each 24-hour period that lapses without correction of the violation shall constitute a separate violation. That has been taken out of the draft that you have in front of you. I ask that the city attorney not modify these ordinances with his personal opinions and wants, and rather allow City Council to read and discuss each draft ordinance in its truest form. In my opinion, with the changes that were made, the current ordinance in front of you does not assist a resident in the parking district to quickly access fines and penalties online when needed. So, by reading the draft that's in front of you right now, someone could say, I need to see ordinance, whatever the number is, and they would not know what the fines were. They wouldn't know that they loaned their permit to someone, that they could lose those privileges in that parking district. So I ask that ordinances are presented in draft form according to a commission's votes. Doesn't matter whether or not it's planning, whether or not it's HGC, whether or not it's hospital, that they are presented in draft form as the commission has voted, and allow the legal process to play out properly. Thank you.
I'm Karen Lindblad. Shy of 4.5 years, I have lived in Eureka Springs since 1970, and I have owned a business here for 45 years. In all this time, and I served on council for 2 years and 7 months, and in all this time, I have never experienced the audacity of this mayor and this council to commit $250,000 to a roundabout that we don't need without any form of public hearing whatsoever. I cannot believe you people have done this. It's an intersection that we don't have a big problem with. The police being out there are on a budget they're already paid for. And now we may end up with children in school buses with no seat belts, twirling around this roundabout with semis, delivery trucks, and cars. And how anybody could consider that safe is beyond me. We have streets that are falling apart in this town. We have a sewer system that's falling apart, and this city has a committee who's talking about doing low-income housing. Where in the world are they going to hook it up to the sewer system? We have people in this town that haven't been hooked up to the sewer system for years. We need sidewalks, we need all kinds of things that $250,000 could help us with, besides having this roundabout that we don't need. And I even talked to a man recently that said his city's taking theirs out because they've had so many collisions on it. People are not used to these. People that come from Oklahoma and Texas and places have a hard enough time on our curvy roads without them being on a roundabout. And this thing's going to take at least 2 years to build. So one of our 3 major entrances to this town is going to be blocked up for 2 years. Can this city afford it? I don't really think that the businesses in town will really appreciate that. But most of all, I can't believe you didn't have public hearings to find out what the people in this town, how they want this. You've already committed it. So if not enough people show up at that meeting tomorrow night to say we don't want it, then we'll have it. But we don't know that the population here wants it. And I wrote a letter to the editor today, which will be in the Independent, and it will have the website and a site where people can go. If they can't make it to the meeting, they can contact the Arkansas Highway Department and say what they think. But boy, you people really think you got it going on us citizens. And we're tired of getting screwed, and we get screwed all the time because we have infrastructure that's falling apart.
Do we have anybody else on public comments? All right, that's hearing none. We'll go ahead and begin with our first item of business, which is discussion of council election for a vacant Ward 1 Position 2 seat.
Motion to discuss.
Second. The last time we've done this, the council has already discovered or declared that the position was vacant at our last meeting. Now is the time when the council members, it's up to the council to nominate a member to fill that position. The only requirement is that the nominee live in that ward, which is, I think, Ward
1.
1. All right, thank you. And that we have a quorum of the whole of the city council to vote in the positive for that new member. So if we have more than one nominee, then we'll vote in that respect. We can, if you want to hold a ballot, we can do that, although you have to sign your name on the ballot. So it's up to the council at this point what they wish to do.
I'd like to nominate David Avanzino, since he's going to be taking that chair at the beginning of the year.
Second.
All right. We got a motion for David Avanzino. Do we have any other nominations? Well, hearing none, all those in favor of selecting David Avanzino, and I'm probably mispronouncing your last name, to that position, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Yes, ma'am.
Can we take a 5-minute recess?
I think we can. I think David, I see David back there. Okay. David, if you're willing, you want to come up, we will have a 5-minute recess and swear you in, and you can participate in the rest of the city council meeting. If you
Second
so
on the motion
desire.
to recess.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so moved. And consider ordinance number 2331 under unfinished business, property to North Main for the third and final reading.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
All right, Mr. McClung?
I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the rules and read ordinance number 2331 by title only for its third and final reading.
Second.
All right, I'm going, Mr. McClung made a motion and Ms. Green seconded. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Ott?
Aye.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Ms. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Avanzino?
Yes.
Mr. McClung?
Yes?
6-0. Ordinance 2331, an ordinance authorizing the exchange of certain real property parcels located on parts of Block 10 and Block 14 Magnetic Bay Survey in the city of Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Eureka Springs, Carroll County, Arkansas.
Mr. McClung?
I'd like to make a motion, we go ahead and approve ordinance number 2331 in this third reading.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. McClung made the motion. I'm not sure. Who made the second?
I did.
Okay. Mr. Ott? Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It really,
Or do we need to vote split?
you're right.
That'd be quicker.
You're right. Mr. McClung?
Yes?
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Ms. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Ott?
Aye.
Mr. Avanzino?
Yes.
6-0.
All right, so moved. So we will have the papers, Mr., we'll get in touch with you guys and have it taken care of. So ordinance passed, and we'll go from there. So thank you, Mr. Bland and everyone. Appreciate it. Next item is the ordinance for parking district on Spring Street. Motion to discuss.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
All right, got a motion. Mr. Meyer?
Mr. Mayor, as we heard from some of the people, there are no teeth in this. There's no fine, there's no there's nothing. If somebody wants to park there unknowingly, there's nothing the police can do about it unless,
Not true.
All right,
there's got to be a fine.
Will you let Forrest weigh in?
Mr. Forrest, you want to address that?
I'm not sure when we're ever going to pass this parking district. There is contention about it, but it's been on the docket agenda for a couple of months now, and I cannot get language that I'm comfortable with from the Planning Commission. They don't like my language either. I don't know how to resolve this. However, in this one, Section 2, there shall be a no parking zone. We have no parking mandates in the code. It's up to $100 for no parking. It is within the discretion of the officer, the city prosecutor, the district judge to determine how much is appropriate
So
for no
it's
parking.
treated just like any other no parking zone?
No
Is that what
parking.
you're saying?
Rather than putting in a new section and changing the municipal code for parking, they can do not parking. There's also, under Section 4, failure to contact, blah, 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 may subject the owner or operator of the vehicle to be fined and/or the vehicle towed. So there is teeth in this ordinance. If you want to be specific about other parking and otherwise, it can be spelled out, but the police chief believes that we would have to possibly change the municipal code to specifically address parking in this area. However, since we already have no parking ordinances with teeth in it, and it does have no parking, we can use the currently existing no parking ordinances to enforce this code.
Okay. My next question is, okay, we got up there, no parking zone, is when it says fine down below in 4, is that the fine that's up there in Section 2?
Could be.
Well, it could be.
This is written so that the police department can use their discretion as to what they want to do. Now, we can spell out every particular item and case and everything else, and it will only get worse as it gets more complicated.
I've not seen any cars towed in town before, so that's why I'm asking.
Well, I'm just saying that if it's look, discretion is the better part of valor, and a lot of selective law enforcement goes on, and this is going to be dumped on the police department.
True.
And unless they get cooperation from the people in the district and get on board with it, then we will have a disaster on our hands. When this parking district was proposed, there was no question there's going to be all sorts of turmoil, problems, and hassles. They've had problems in Fayetteville. Some of the language that's come to me was lifted directly from the Fayetteville Wilson Park ordinance. I'm more than happy to have the council decline to act on this, send it back to Planning Commission. However, it's been bouncing back from Planning Commission to my desk 4 or 5 times already. It will continue to be bounced back and forth. I do not know how to go forward with this by placating the Planning Commission.
Well, I'm asking questions just to get it clear.
Okay, go
All
ahead.
right? So is this the first ordinance? It says towing. Have we threatened to tow anyone?
No,
Anywhere
I don't
else?
know.
I don't think so.
Mr. McClung?
When the planning commission brought it to you, that was, as it was mentioned earlier by one of the members of the planning commission, I don't know if you sat in, I missed the last joint meeting, and I don't know, once they sent it to you, did you go back to them and give them the explanations you're giving us now?
They have sent me ordinances which I consider dead on arrival, that contain provisions that simply were not enforceable, that we cannot do. And I, as a city attorney, can say, hey, we just simply can't do this.
And you told them that and explained why?
I've redrafted this 3 times. I have put stuff in, I've taken stuff out, and it comes back to me, and they take out my stuff, and they put their stuff back in. I don't know how to placate
Well,
them.
the only thing I'm saying is, did you take it to them
Mr. Jacoby was at,
before it came here?
Mr. Jacoby was at the meeting that you missed.
Okay, the latest attempt at an ordinance on this was dumped on my desk Thursday morning. It was dead on arrival. It contains provisions that could not be enforced, should not be enforced, and was lacking in other methods. So I, with help, have completely written something that might work. Now, the key on this is, I had over a half an hour phone call with the police chief. He is willing to accept this ordinance. Okay, fine. I've done what I can. The police chief is fine. I'm very happy to send it back to the Planning Commission, but what's going to happen is they're going to try to put stuff in that I find unacceptable, and they find that my changes are unacceptable. I do not know how to resolve this situation. I would like to get a district going. I would like to get everybody happy and on board with it. But this entire ordinance and concept is a disaster waiting to be happening. And so I'm open to suggestions how we can best.
This is not a
resolve it.
disaster in your mind?
No, the police chief says that he can do this. Of course, part of the police chief says he can do this, that he can enforce this. I don't think any of the other proposed ordinances have ever been flown by the police chief where he signed off on them. That's the difference in this one and anything that's come out of the Planning Commission.
Mr. Ott?
Well, I know that we had several workshops on this, and that the police were present at all of them. They did not balk at what was being planned with the fines and so on and so on. And I thought that there was a kind of a consensus after the last workshop that the fines that had been outlined at that workshop were acceptable, and even to the police. Has that changed since that last workshop?
There was a proposal in one of them that a fine would be up to $70. Apparently, the no parking ordinance in this town can go up to $100. And again, it's a matter of discretion to the city prosecutor, the officers, and also the district judge as to what the amount of that fine would be. I do not feel it's appropriate to put specific numbers in this ordinance per se when we already have parking ordinances on the books up to $100. All we have to do is say, hey, it's a no parking ordinance. Now, no parking ordinances are not the same. All the fines not the same. It could be a $25 fine, it could be a $50 fine, it could be a $100 fine, and if the person's a scofflaw and continues to get tickets for no parking, if an ordinance like this were to pass, then he can get the maximum fine every time.
Well, if not each of the workshops we had on this, it was kind of the understanding of the group that this was going to be a test area, a test ordinance, to see if we could get the residents to have parking by their homes. Because we know there's other problems throughout the city, but it was this specific geographic area that we talked about being a test area. Are we limiting that test by backing off some of the, if you want to call it teeth, or if you want to call it more specific wording in here? Because it seemed like we were moving towards that in the workshops, but it seems now by some of the things we heard tonight, and I've talked to some folks on the phone that have said, you know, it doesn't hold up to being a true test if it doesn't have some of the stuff that we initially talked about at the workshops. So what are your thoughts on it being not a citywide thing, but as was intentionally intended, a specific area, test that out. If it works, great. If it needs to be tweaked, great. And once that is greased and running, then we can expand that to other parts of the city. And I know there's been talk about Fayetteville. I've talked to the people who are in charge of the parking over there, the residential parking people, and they seem that it's working fine for them. That's the feedback I got from them. So I don't know if that's, I'm just curious, are we looking at this as being the test area that we talked about initially, or are you looking at this through a broader lens for the whole city?
Well, look, this is simply a Spring Street district
Okay.
right now.
Well, do you-
And of course, I have severe reservations whether or not this will actually work or be implementable, but I've seen a lot of language across my desk that I know will not work. That will be a complete disaster, and I'm trying to avoid a complete disaster. Some of the language that's hit here was lifted directly from the Wilson Park parking district. Well, we're not Wilson Park. I am opposed to hang tags. I am opposed to, the first ordinance that came to me out of the Planning Commission said that an unspecified person in the city hall would run this ordinance and hand out permits and other stuff. I X'd that out. I moved it to the police station. The police station is open 24/7, 365. If you needed a temporary tag and it's a 3-day holiday weekend, you can't get it. The city hall is closed. So that was number one, came
Okay.
out of the Planning Commission. Now, I don't think anybody is backed off on that, and probably the police station is the place to run it. And that's one change that immediately, boom, bounced back. And this has happened repeatedly. I am open to any suggestion to get a working district here, but the Planning Commission keeps coming up with stuff that I find unacceptable. Now, if you want me to step aside and say, get out of it, I will.
All right. Mr. McClung?
Well, whether we vote for or against, I think it needs to come to us, you know, with the approval of the Planning Commission first. I mean, that's where it's supposed to be coming from. And, you know, we're working together with them. And so, you know, for whatever the reasons are between the city attorney and the Planning Commission, you know, there needs to be some gelling there before it comes to us. If we got this kind of conflict, I'm not in favor of even voting on it. Plain and simple.
Well, I have changed ordinances before, and it was asked to be removed off the docket, which was appropriate because that was not a particularly good ordinance, but it was better than what hit my desk. This ordinance has been on the agenda for quite a while now. I can easily say, hey, let's just continue this and ask the Planning Commission to come up with more. But I would also ask somebody else to, go ahead.
Well, what I'm saying is that I would like for you and the Planning Commission to be on the same page before it comes to us.
Well,
Then I would feel good about it in
Okay.
ratifying something. Otherwise, I don't.
okay, the problem entails is that under city ordinance, I write the ordinances. And when it comes to me and you've got something like it's going to run out of City Hall, I say, no, it's not, because it can't, it won't. This
Well,
is-
we got that one resolved, though. Now we're dealing with some other issues.
Okay, yeah, I think this could work. I don't know, but what the Planning Commission, if the Planning Commission, well, I don't think the Planning Commission and I can get along.
Ms. Soleil's standing up. I
Yeah,
think she would
come on,
like to
come
have
on.
a comment, too, so maybe we can
Yeah, bring it up, sure.
bring up some sort of a
I would like,
Coming up into here.
everybody would like this Spring Street ordinance to
Okay
pass.
for it.
Okay.
I would like to make a proposal.
Okay, speak up a little bit more. in the
I would
microphone.
like to make a
Just read it.
proposal. Obviously, this is not going to go anywhere tonight. I would like to see the proposal that planning did, the ordinance, the draft, that has yet to make it to city council. I would like them to be able to see it and have discussion about it. Changes, that's what it's all about. But I don't understand why I can't get it to the table. I understand, Mr. Jacoby, you've got some issues with it. I thought we had gotten those all worked out. The one issue that you did want taken out was the Section 7, which were the permits and the fine. And I said in the meeting that I was not comfortable taking that out because we as a group came up with that. But I have yet to even have a discussion because I can't get it on the table. So I think that would be fair. Let's bring them both to the table, let City Council have plenty of time to read them both, and then let's have a discussion.
Would,
Mr. Ott?
well, is it possible that if you compare what you had and what our city attorney has put together, the changes, if you could prioritize what you feel is most important to be in there, and then on down, and then we could kind of see that might be the compromise place. Well, okay, I can understand this one, we'll put this one in there, but some of the lesser ones we may not put in. But let our city attorney know that we feel that this is the most important, this is second most important, this is third, et cetera, and then work out a compromise on those different points. Is that possible to come together with that kind of compromise?
The city council is going to pass something sooner or later,
Yeah.
maybe. That's all I can tell you.
Mr. McClung?
I would like to see the ordinances as they wrote it, and I agree with that, is that, you know, they put it together, we look at it along with the city attorney, and we make suggestions for changes, and if it's not suitable, then it gets sent back to them. So, you know, I don't have any problem with that process, and it doesn't sound really like we may be too awfully far out, or far off from each other. I think we just need to read it as a group and examine it, and then go with it and get Mr. Jacoby's sign off on it too, and then we'll move forward.
Should we
Or
do
hell,
a
I don't care if we
workshop
don't
on
do
it?
anything,
No,
personally.
we don't need a workshop. We've had 5,
I
6,
totally
10
agree.
workshops. I think what we're doing is we're coming up with what Mr. McClung's aiming for, I think.
This takes 3 readings in order to pass, and we can modify it. The next reading, we can have your input, next reading, and, I mean, let's get this ordinance on the road so that at least we got to have something to work with. This is something to work with. It's something to start with, and then we can get what you think needs to be on there too. I mean, most all of this is, I don't know how much you think is.
If I'm not mistaken, I think what Ms. Lees and Mr. McClung are saying is, let's provide the city council with what the planning commission had, and then the city council can compare the two. And at the next meeting, you can decide among yourselves which is what you want to take out and what you want to leave, with the advice of the city attorney.
Yeah.
Because he's the one who's going to be also writing this and coming up with, I don't think you'll be enforcing it, you'll be prosecuting it. That'd be our other attorney. But it's got to be something that's also able to be legally defended. Ms. Green?
How about if I make a motion that we postpone this to the next meeting and have both ordinances here and we work at them at the table?
Second.
All right, we got any further
Is that
discussion
okay
on
with
that?
you, Ann?
It's fine with me.
Okay.
Any further discussion, anybody? All right, a motion and second to defer this and come to their next meeting. We will provide the planning commission's recommendations along with what we've got from city council, city attorney.
And let
Just a moment, Mr. McClung.
I would just, if we could get an email copy of what Planning Commission has, so we could,
That was the motion. That
Ahead
was the
of-
motion.
Ahead of time.
yeah, ahead of time.
Oh,
I mean,
that's,
yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not going to wait until, no. All right, Mr. Ott.
And I just want to, you know, and I'm trying to build compromise here. I appreciate what the Planning Commission has done.
Me too.
And also
Thanks, Ann, thanks,
And also
Susan.
appreciate what our city attorney has, because he says that's a good idea, but that dog won't hunt, then there's no reason having it in there. But we need to explain that to the Planning Commission so they know and the council knows that this will work, this might work, this won't work, and Forrest can tell us what won't work according to the law.
Well, we'll need the police chief here.
Yeah.
Well, the police chief,
All right, we got a motion and a second on the table to
Yeah.
proceed with this. We've had both the copies given to the council prior to the meeting, so y'all can analyze it, look at it.
Thank you.
So, any further discussion on that motion?
No.
All in favor, signify by saying
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, so moved. All right. All right, that brings us up under new business, resolution for free December parking on Spring and Main meter spaces.
Motion to discuss.
Second?
This is an annual resolution that we always do to help stimulate the parking downtown for the people coming in and helping the merchants down there. So we've been doing this for years. Mr. McClung,
Motion to approve the standard free parking for December.
Second?
read for approval. All right. Mr. Ott, was that you second? All right.
You betcha Santa.
All right, any further
Thank you.
discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Resolution number 829, a resolution removing the requirement of paying parking meters on Spring Street and Main Street and establishing free 2-hour parking from December 1 through December 31, 2022. Whereas the City Council of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, in an effort to promote business for the city during the period of December 1 to December 31, 2022, desires to establish free 2-hour parking on Spring Street and Main Street for on-street metered spaces in Eureka Springs during the period of December 1 through December 31, 2022. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs that, Section 1, free 2-hour parking is established on Spring Street and Main Street in metered spaces in Eureka Springs during the period of December 1 to December 31, 2022.
All right, thank you all very much. All right, the next item of business is a resolution for a pension for the clerk treasurer.
Move to discuss?
Second.
All right, in your packet there, you've got a motion or a resolution granting pension to the city clerk treasurer based on the Arkansas statute 2412-121, which is similar to what we had in Mary Jane. Mr. Ott?
I think it's very important for us to take care of the dedicated city employees that work hard to keep our city in good shape. And I think to encourage future city clerks, when they come in, to go for this, to show that we want to take care of them, that we just aren't using them and using them up. So I would be very much in favor of passing this resolution and granting this pension.
Ms. Green?
I ditto Mr. Ott, and I think that we are very fortunate. We got 12 years out of a person that really did a wonderful job, and it isn't a reward. It's something that I think we should offer, and as an incentive for employees, an incentive for people to want to step up and serve. And I think definitely I'd like to make a motion that we give the resolution a number and pass it.
Second.
We got a motion by Ms. Green and second by Mr. Ott. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Pardon me, since we're spending money, can we do a voice vote, please?
All right.
Ms. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Ott?
You say aye?
Second.
Aye.
Mr. McClung?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Avanzino?
Yes.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
6-0. Resolution 830, a resolution to grant a pension to the city clerk treasurer, whereas ACA 2412-121 provides that a city clerk or clerk treasurer in a city of the first class may retire from office for the remainder of his or her life after serving not less than 10 years and upon reaching 60 years of age. And whereas any city clerk, city treasurer, or any person serving as city clerk or city treasurer who shall retire or be succeeded by another city clerk or clerk treasurer within the provisions of ACA 2412-121 shall be paid monthly a sum equal to 1/2 of the monthly salary received by him or her during the last preceding year of his or her service. And whereas Ann Armstrong, city clerk treasurer, is qualified to receive a pension based upon state law to be paid out of the city's general fund. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, that Ann Armstrong, city clerk treasurer, is hereby granted a pension under ACA 2412-121 upon her retirement.
All right, thank you all.
When are you going to reach 60?
It's in the mirror.
All right, that brings us up to agenda setting.
Well, we got the...
One of the things I would like to ask the council is November, I don't see a problem with having our 2 meetings in November if the council wants, but Christmas, December, it looks like Christmas is the 26th is a Monday, which is the 4th Monday of the month, the day after Christmas. So normally, we only have 1 meeting in December
Right.
on here. I think City Hall may be closed, actually, taking that off. And so if that's up to the council, if you want to keep 2 meetings in December, or ones, feel comfortable with 1.
I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and cancel the December 26th meeting.
I'll second that.
All right. Got any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we can do that. That's great. All right, City Council comments. Mr. Ott?
Thank you, Mayor. Some of you may have heard we had an election last Tuesday, and I personally wanted to say thank you for all the people that showed a vote of confidence for me in my reelection bid. Unfortunately, it was not successful, but I have every faith and belief, and I'm assured that when Steve takes this seat in January, that he will do a wonderful job not only for this council, but for the community too. And so I think you'll be in good hands with him sitting at this spot. But I also want to thank all the people who got out to vote on Election Day. And that's how we move along in this community, this state, this country. And just say thank you for that. And I also want to say that I appreciate, I know this is my swan song yet. I got 1 more meeting to go. But I've appreciated the opportunity to serve this council and this community. And maybe there'll be another avenue for me to be of service to the city I love of Eureka Springs. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill. Mr. Avanzino, you,
Avanzino.
Zeno. I'll get it.
It'll take you a while.
It will. David, I can handle.
You can just call me David, that's fine. I just want to say what an honor and a pleasure it is to be sitting here. I've always wanted to serve this great city. It's, like I said, it's an honor to be working with you all. I look forward to it. And next time, maybe we can turn the heat on when it's 30 degrees outside.
Oh,
That'd be
no,
great.
no, no.
Come
You're
on.
too new to that.
Our budget's been approved. We can't
Yeah,
come
yeah.
down through.
That's it. Thank you.
Ms. Green?
First, Bill, thank you for your service, and it was a pleasure serving with you. David, welcome aboard, and thanks, everybody, for getting out and voting. Thank you for having the confidence in me and re-electing me. And I do want to say, we have really great commissions, and we have a great city attorney, and we will work out these things, and sometimes controversy brings better things. So both, I can't tell the commissions and our new guy Kyle how much I appreciate them, and Forrest, I really appreciate you too.
Ms. Slane?
I just thank you for your service, Bill, and congratulations to everyone else. I'll see you next year.
Mr. Myers?
Eureka Springs has a higher turnout rating, turnout for elections than the state as a whole. It's wonderful that we have so much participation. And Terry and I think, got more votes than anyone else.
It was a landslide.
We whipped our opponents.
As did your daughter and Forrest.
City attorney came close. Yeah.
I came close.
All right, Terry.
I just want to say that too for Bill. I appreciate you being on here, and you're always willing, and you're an asset to the community, that's for sure. David, welcome, buddy. You're going to, you know what? It can be really fun. It actually can. It can be a pain in the rear, but it can also be fun. I'm glad you're here.
Just get some electric socks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
And change your name to Smith.
Motion to adjourn.
Well, I
Wait, we
got a
got-
comment here.
we got
Wait a
Butch.
minute. I want to thank Bill for his service. He has been a dedicated servant to the city. He's showed up at Municipal League. He's taken an active involvement in the city. Bill, you'll be missed very much, and certainly appreciated your second time around city council. So even though we didn't do any deer ordinances this year, or this time around, I do appreciate everything that you've done for the city.
Thank you, sir.
And I want to welcome David, not only now, but also to your new position too, coming up. And it goes along with the other candidates too, Ms. Green and Ms. Slane. Congratulations on your races. And I'm glad we're all here. And of course, Mr. McClung, Mr. Meyer, I'm glad you're back. It's like I said, this can be fun if we're working together in a positive manner, and I think we've got an opportunity here for this new council to do that. We've got a lot of opportunities for the next couple of years to get some items done if we're all working in the same direction. I think this Spring Street parking is a good example of us trying to work together to get something accomplished. It's been on the boards for more than just this year. It's been on the boards for many years, so I think it's time I'm glad to see something finally getting done on there. And speaking of traffic, we were notified, and I think every citizen in Eureka Springs has probably received a postcard in their mailbox, talking from the Arkansas Department of Transportation, letting them know that they're conducting a meeting tomorrow night about the proposed plans in the roundabout. And this is approximately almost a $3 million to $3.5 million project up there. It's not a cheap project. The city's portion, as mentioned, $250,000. Originally, the city was asked to contribute $2 million if we wanted a roundabout in here, and if we wanted to put a stoplight up there, it was going to run about the same cost. Unfortunately, we were able to talk the highway department into reversing that and allowing us to put up the $250,000, and they were going to spend the $2.5 million to construct it. I don't think anybody wants to see a stoplight in Eureka Springs. I certainly don't. And that was one of the other alternatives that they were coming to the city council, to the city with. So I think this is a good time for the city and the citizens to come out, whether you're for or against. You'll be able to see what their proposal is going to be. And as for all the interested citizens, they'll have tables downstairs with the drawings and people down there to ask and answer questions for any of the citizens or city council. And that's going to start tomorrow evening at 4 o'clock in the lower level of the auditorium. So there's also information on the department website. All you need to do is go to the rdot.gov/public meetings, and you will find the website, and you can scroll down to find the public meeting for Eureka Springs. And if you got any questions, there's also a contact there for people also to be involved with. So this is something they're wanting the citizens' involvement with, and I encourage everybody to come out. And again, whether you're for or against, it's an opportunity for your voice to be heard to the Highway Department. So other than that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Get up, please. All right, thank y'all.